The lights go down as a lone actor enters the stage reading an excerpt of NimbleNoggin.io's rendition of random text generation. Hi, Kyle here with another stop on the Swift Components tour, and this stop is switches, the UISwitch. You may recognize the UISwitch from the Settings app. That's where you see it a lot. The functionality is basically what you would expect. Here you can see it acting pretty much as a light switch. So let's get down to business. Basically, the UISwitch toggles between two states, on and off. And we've seen this act here in two different formats. The first one, standard UISwitch, nothing special, just dragged out from down here again onto the storyboard and hooked up to a function in our code that says the toggle switch was toggled. Down here, we could have actually had this on the UI button stop in the Swift Components tour, but I thought it might fit better here because this is actually a UI button with some fancy footwork to set it up to act exactly like a UI switch. And you can see here what's going on is this view controller is like we're in a theater, and we have the house lights which light up the whole room, maybe during intermission or after the play. And then we have spotlights to highlight whatever is going on the stage. And also when the house lights come on, if the spotlights are already on, the spotlights will turn off. We're not about wasting energy. There's no need to have the spotlights on here. And same when we turn the spotlights on and the house lights are on, we'll turn the house lights off so you can actually see where the spotlights are pointing to. Not that any of that matters in this fictional theater. So let's just look at the storyboard as usual. You can see here that I have a UI label that says spotlights, plus the UI switch under it, which controls both spotlights. Down here I have the house lights UI button, and the special toggle functionality of this UI button is implemented in the code, so it looks just like a UI button from the UI buttons view controller. And then I have two image views whose images are set to a clip art style spotlight. So let's look at the code to see how we're working with all of these elements here. So I have a reference to both switches. You can see one is actually the UI button, and then the label that's above the spotlight switch. And we also have a reference to both spotlights and an auto layout constraint hooked to both spotlight. In view.did.load, here I'm setting the house lights switch, which is the UI button. I'm setting its selected property to false. And we'll cover this in a second, but that is how we're using a UI button to act like a UI switch. Plus a little bit of customization on the lights label above the UI switch. You can see it sort of has a little bit of glow around it that changes colors. It's based on the house lights. So we're just setting that up over here. Right here, all we're doing is a CG transformation where we're flipping the right spotlight image view horizontally. So in the storyboard, both spotlights are facing to the right, but after this flip in view.did.load, both spotlights are going to be facing in towards the center. And then we're just adjusting the two constraints on both spotlights so that they are off screen when the view appears. And this is what we'll see when the view appears, an empty, dark theater. Next in the code, we have the touch or toggled events from the UI switch and the UI button. With the UI switch, it's pretty easy, as the switch object itself will keep track of whether it's on or off. So in this method, where the spotlight switch is toggled, we check if the spotlight switch is on after it's been toggled. If it is on, we need to turn on the spotlights. And if the spotlight switch is off after it's been toggled, turn off the spotlights. It's only slightly more complicated when using a UI button. We need to check if the house light switch selected property is true after tapping it. If it is, we need to set its selected property to false and then turn off the house lights. If the switch is not selected after we tap it, we need to make sure that we set the selected property to true and then turn on the house lights. Now these methods down here are not as important. They're basically just handling the animations and the states of the spotlights and the lights label shadow, how the views are interacting with the selected or on properties of the UI button and the UI switch. And that's been the UI switch. Thanks for watching.